Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to talk about the 7.62x39 and rifles other than the AK that you may want to consider. These are rifles that I personally like a lot. I think these are outstanding firearms and they're worth a look. But before we get started with today's video, we're going to kick it off with an AK. This is one of my favorite 7.62x39 AKs. It's an Arsenal. It's a SAM 7 SF for side folding, but it's also an MF5 with its modified top cover. Has this little rail system over here that locks down, has the different handguards out here, and then of course this muzzle device. The cool thing about these is they have a Galil style safety lever. So over here with my thumb on my right hand, I'm able to operate the safety on the firearm. Other than that, pretty much standard AK fare. But with that being said, let's start off with this rifle and take a look at some of the other stuff that's out there you may want to consider. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. Right now, I'm just going to talk about the firearms themselves and what I like about them, and then we'll get into the prices a little bit later in the video. This is a rifle we just recently did a video on. This is the PTR 32. This is a modern take of a prototype rifle that H&K developed many years ago that was called the HK32. And the HK32 and this rifle use 7.62x39. Now what's really cool about the PTR is it uses a standard AK magazine, whereas the HK32 used its own proprietary magazine. Now this is a pretty faithful copy of it. Of course, they've taken some liberties like the 1913 rail on top, which I think is a nice touch. I've replaced the factory handguard, the slim handguard, which I told you in the original video. I like the way they look, I just don't like the way they work on any HK type firearm, just because it doesn't really protect your hand well from heat. This is an AC Unity handguard that I just recently got in, and I put it on here, and it gives me that wide handguard feel, right? It feels good in the hand, protects me from the heat generated back here around the chamber area, and plus it has pretty good heat shielding in it. So this is going to give me a little bit better protection when I'm shooting the gun quite a bit. On top, have an EOTech. Now what's cool about this rifle is if you like the HK91 or the 93 and all that stuff, the roller delayed firearms, that's what this is. This has a roller delay system in it. It has a long run out in the receiver, which makes it really, really soft shooting. And it shoots just regular 7.62x39. It'll fire anything based on our experiences. You'll want to pick magazines that work well with it. The PMags that it ships with are ideal. They're affordable. You can get them with and without metal reinforcements. But there are other magazines out there. Just test them on the rifle before you use it. So this rifle is really, really cool. It operates just like an HK. So you have a charging handle forward. You can pull it back, rotate it up, stick a magazine in. Doesn't lock open on the last shot fired, but you got that famous HK slap. Now it has the same ergonomics and controls as an H&K type firearm, and that's what kind of endears me to it. A lot of folks out there love the roller delay style of H&K, and PTR makes a good product, and so I really, really like the way this thing looks and shoots and everything about it. So this is a really, really good option. Now there are plenty of accessories out there. You can get M-LOK rails for them, and so if you want to deck one of these out with all the modern accessories and amenities, you can certainly do that. You can suppress them. Now the roller delay guns, I would probably run something like a Hux Works on them for sure, because being roller delayed, you need a special locking piece if you want to run them suppressed. But if you don't want to change locking pieces when you put your can on or take your can off, try a Hux Works. Their flow-through technology really reduces that back pressure, and it keeps the guns from beating themselves to death. All right, but I've never suppressed this one. Let's do a little bit of shooting. We're just shooting some Norma. It's a 124 grain ball, brass cased ammunition, high quality stuff. I believe it's still out there, but I haven't seen it for a little while. Yeah, that's just a really, really smooth shooting rifle. I just love these things. I'm really, really glad to have finally gotten my hands on one of these. This is a Gen 2. So the Gen 1 guns are out there. They generally won't have a pick rail on top. That's how you can quickly identify them. And yeah, so if you want to change out the stocks, they will accept any HK91 style stock that takes a 2-pin back here. And of course, I put the AC Unity HK91 4-end on here. You can even put a bipod on there if you want to, has the cutouts for it and all that good stuff. So check them out if you haven't looked at the PTR32. If you're looking for something a little bit different, the Chamber 762x39. Next up is the SIG Spear. This one's chambered in 762x39. You can tell that by the magazine. It uses standard AR type 762x39 magazines. This is just like the military service rifle, except smaller. And it's got the same name. The Spear on the receiver is going to be marked MCX, but it's in the Spear configuration. You can tell that by the hand guards, the lightning cuts on the receiver, and all that good stuff. This is probably the most modern, in my opinion, of the rifles we have out here. Now, all the rifles in today's video have made the cut in terms of being my favorite 762x39 rifles, other than a standard AK. And at the end of the video, when you talk about prices, I'll put them in their pecking order, which I like the best and which is kind of like lower on the spectrum. But keep in mind, guys, again, all the rifles out here are my favorites. That's why they're in today's video, but there's still a hierarchy there. So this one has an adjustable gas regulator on it, uses a short stroke gas piston. The SIG series of cans drop right onto the muzzle device that comes from the factory, which is a good thing because many of those things are rock set on there with an insane amount of torque pressure, which makes getting them off very difficult. But the SIG cans are outstanding. They're low back pressure cans and they do pretty good at suppression. They're nice and lightweight. They're also 3D printed. But with this rifle, you can put all the modern accessories you want on there. Has a 1913 rail section back here in the rear, so if you don't like this particular stock, there are a bunch of different choices out there for you to pick a different stock. You can do collapsing stocks, side folding stocks, longer stocks, shorter stocks, minimalistic, whatever. This is a pretty minimalistic stock on this one. Of course, you can use any standard AR-15 pistol grip. Has its own AMB charging handles here, but there are different aftermarket charging handles available, and SIG makes different charging handles with different size release levers. So there's plenty of options out there. You can pretty much kit this thing out any way you like. Has a quick change barrel system in it. It's just an outstanding rifle. On top, I do have a SIG optic on there, which is also a nice touch. And these are just really, really smooth shooting firearms. Again, probably the latest and greatest in technology, although technology between the PTR32 and this isn't that great of a difference, but we're making little tiny inches forward until gunpowder is no longer really an option and we go to, I don't know, energy-based weapons or something. So when we make progress in modern firearms, it's really, really incremental. So, all right, let's do a little shooting with this bad boy. I do have a can on it just to show how easily this thing suppresses. Again, it has an adjustable gas regulator for regular use and suppressed use. So it's just set up perfectly for all the modern amenities. I guess that's enough ammo for now. Yeah, just a smooth shooting rifle. I just love these things. Yeah, what the heck. All right. Now, it didn't lock open on that one. I just need to switch the gas regulator over. Again, these are low back pressure cans. And so if it does that, it doesn't quite lock open. Just flip that lever like I just did. It's going to get more gas into the system and it'll lock open. Look at that sucker sweat. It's humid out here today, folks. About 90 degrees and hot. Nice change of pace from the winter we just came out of like 2 weeks ago. Now, I love the SIG Spear. It's one of my favorite rifles. And one of the things that Jason and I have both talked about, we're fans of direct gas impingement. In the case of the AR-15, it's more of an internal piston. But direct gas impingement is one of those things that just tends to soften the recoil impulse a little bit. The gases in the gas tube can compress. It's not as abrupt when it pushes back on that bolt carrier where you have a metal rod that gets accelerated, then slams into a metal carrier. That's a little bit more abrupt. So we always thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if SIG would dabble with maybe doing a direct gas impingement version, which I don't know why they would. They already have the contract for, you know, their short stroke gas pistons. But that's pretty much what CMMG did with the Mark 47 Descent. This is a brand new product. They've made ARs and stuff chambered in 762x39 and called them Mark 47s. But this is the Descent version, and we've done a full video on it. You can go watch that if you want more detail. But it's in essence an MCX that's direct gas impingement. And so it's very, very lightweight. It has a nice M-LOK rail system out here, 1913 rails all the way out. It uses standard AK magazines, so it's not going to lock open on the last shot fired unless you use one of the Yugo magazines. But when you remove the magazine to change mags, it'll drop that bolt. But a brass case deflector has a port cover so you can seal the system up. The ergonomics are really, really good. Nice lightweight stock that's adjustable for length of pull, and also you can fold it. It's just a really, really well thought out rifle. And both Jason and I absolutely love them. Now you can suppress these quite easily. And again, I would run an OSS Huxworks on a rifle like this for that flow-through technology and reduce back pressure. But I just haven't suppressed this one quite yet. We have played with them suppressed, but Jason has one in 5.56 he really likes, but it has a pretty effective muzzle brake on there from the factory. Now I've had this off, I have put an OSS on it, but I have the muzzle brake back on there for the original video, or the first video that we did with it. But it has a ping pong paddle over here, so you can lock the bolt open and drop it like an AR-15. But it has this forward charging handle, which a lot of folks like, which of course you can move over to the other side if you want to run it the other way. Aluminum construction, and just overall a really, really nice shooting rifle. I just can't say enough nice things about the CMMGs. That, and they have outstanding triggers in them. So yeah, just overall, just a really, really nice rifle, and certainly belongs on my list of my favorites. Okay, I saved this one for last because I did say rifles other than AKs. And this is the Galil Ace. Heavily based on the AK, no denying that. But it's not really an AK, and it's definitely one of my favorites, so I just wanted to stick it in this video, even though it's, you know, 99, well, let's say about 80% AK with some definite improvements. So I'm a big fan of the original Galils. These are different. The Ace uses different manufacturing and has different dimensions. None of the parts are really interchangeable with the originals, but you can still see the lineage. This is very much a Galil. And one of the things I did when I first got this years ago was to put a Magpul fore-end on it. Now, the military fore-end that these originally, this is a Gen 1 gun. They have Gen 2s out now. I like the Gen 1s better. The military style handguards are a little bit more round, but they do have 1913 rails on them with covers on them. I just like the ergonomics and the length of this particular handguard. So that's why I modified it. Now on top of this rifle, you do have a pick rail. It runs across the receiver, the top cover, all the way out on the gas tube. It's very rigid. The Galils and the Aces have, you know, just really refined being able to use the top cover as a mounting point for optics. On here, I have a Mepper light. This is their MOR sight. It has daylight visible, IR, laser, and then has a red dot sight that's battery powered, but also solar powered, so you don't need to have batteries to have a dot. It's just a really, really nice setup. Now over here, you'll notice it has a pressure switch that's for turning on the lasers. I just have a flashlight on here and a hand stop. You can tell that I set this thing up because I wanted to use it. Nice thing about them is they have folding stocks. They're also adjustable for length of pull. And you have your selector lever over here, which takes the safety off. What's nice, unlike an AK, you can have the safety on and you can still charge the rifle. It has a charging handle on the left-hand side, and you'll notice it has this little trap door. So when the charging handle moves back and forth, it does reciprocate when the gun fires. This moves down, but it always pops back up, keeping the system closed. You'll notice over here, it doesn't have a slot on the side where the charging handle would ride because it doesn't have a charging handle over here. Excuse me. Have a little cutout there on the bolt carrier. You can use as a forward assist if you need to push the bolt carrier home to get around into battery. And then it uses standard AK magazines. So very smooth shooting rifle, great iron sights, suppressible, everything I would want in a modern AK type rifle. So I think this is definitely best in class when you're taking a look at modern AK type rifles or rifles heavily based on the AK. You just simply can't beat the Ace. So that's why she's in today's video. Because it uses AK mags, it doesn't lock open on the last shot fired. All right, let's go talk about that pecking order, which I like, which is the top and which is at the bottom of my favorites list. And we'll talk a little bit about prices. So before I get into this, I want to stress, I love these rifles, all of them. I have a ton of 7.62x39 firearms, but these are the ones that I'll reach for when I want to go shoot something other tthan an AK, like a standard AKM. So with that being said, let's talk about, they're laid out here in order, okay? Not including the SAM-7 over there, the MF5. So first of all, the SIG. Guys, she's a little heavy, okay? If I had one complaint about the SIG Spear, this is not a lightweight gun, especially the way I have it configured. You can shave some of the weight off by ditching the can, changing out the optics, things like that, which would bring the weight down. But the way it's configured is the way I like it, and this is an outstanding rifle. This is about as modern as it gets, and I've had nothing but great luck with these things. Absolutely love them. So that's number one. Now the price on this is going to be right around $25.99 or $2,600. They are not inexpensive. By the time you put a can on it and a good optic like this, you're going to have some money invested into the rifle. But if you're looking for a fighting rifle, you just can't go wrong with the SIG, or really any of the rifles I have here this afternoon, some being better than others, the SIG probably being the best. Now, right next to that is a CMMG Descent Mark 47. Why? Like we already said, it's basically a direct gas impingement version of that rifle. When you take them apart, look at them on the inside, they're very closely related. Smooth shooting, accurate, reliable, just an outstanding rifle. The CMMGs, they're not inexpensive. So you're looking at about $2,200 for a Descent. Now these are available in other cartridges as well, so you can get it in 5.56 and stuff like that, even 300 blackout. But today's video is strictly about that 7.62x39. The fact that this uses standard AK mags, I love. I wish the SIG did, but I understand why it does not. All right, next up, longtime fan favorite, the Galil has always been a rifle that I've loved ever since I was a younger man. And of course, the newest version I like as well. Gun is not lightweight, and I don't really care for the Gen 2s as much as the Gen 1s. The Gen 1s and the Gen 2s are not something that the IDF ever used. These were manufactured for export, but there's a number of countries around the world in Asia, South America, that manufacture and use these rifles in their military. So these are military firearms in their full auto counterparts. So it's an outstanding gun. You're not going to beat it in terms of durability, reliability, and things like that. Just a great choice, but these things are not inexpensive. They're right around $1,900 for a Gen 2 version. The Gen 1s like this are no longer being imported, and I don't think they're being manufactured outside of those military sales that have taken place in those countries manufacturing them for their own internal use. Last but not least is the PTR. And the only reason this one falls a little bit lower on this scale is simply because it's a classic rifle, right? I love the HK91, I love the HK93, great rifles, reliable, accurate, just generally great guns to shoot, but by 2024 standards, they're a bit dated. And this gun is a bit dated in that, you know, its operation and things like that. However, it's not impractical. And if you want to use this as a go-to rifle, you most certainly could. It's just not something I would put very high on my go-to rifle list. But in terms of shooting, having a good time, being able to hit what you aim at, and just looking stylish as all get out on the range, you cannot beat the PTR. The PTR is going to come to market at about $1,600, $1,650. So in terms of the price points, this one represents the true value of the firearms here on the table. And I'm sure you're curious, the SAM-7 SF, this one the M5F configuration with all the stuff I pointed out earlier. The SAM-7 goes in and out of production at any given time. They're going to be around, I don't know, $2,800, and that doesn't take into account the MF5 modifications done to this one. These are numbered, so they were not a regular production item. This is number 10. I can't remember if they did 300 or 500 of these, but or they may have even done 1,000. I don't even recall. But they were serial numbered and limited production. Now you can go out there and buy a SAM-7 SF, and these rails I believe are still available on the Arsenal website, so you can basically build this rifle. You just got to find the muzzle device, hand guards, and top rail, and you can make your own. You don't have to buy it in this configuration. So all these rifles are simply outstanding, great rifles to shoot. The 7.62x39 is a phenomenal cartridge. It's great for deer, it's great for self-defense, and it's fun just for plinking. The prices are coming back down. I think Mr. Guns and Gear made a post earlier today on Twitter, and he's found some Tula ammunition for 50 cents a round. Granted, that's quite a bit more expensive than it was 4 years ago, but keep in mind there have been a lot of sanctions placed against Russia. That really affordable ammunition has been shut down from import, but we're seeing companies like Palmetto State Armory spinning up production, and I think you're going to see more domestic production of the 7.62x39 being produced here locally, and that's going to bring the prices down over time. So you can't beat the cartridge, you can't beat the firearms on this table, but these aren't the only firearms out there. So check out whatever it is that flops your mop and see if you can find some information on it if you're looking for a different rifle that's not an AK-47 for this really cool Soviet cartridge. All right, guys, if you have any questions, you can ask those questions down below. I try to stick around after the video goes live for a couple of days to answer any questions you may have. If you'd like to support us at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, please become part of our Patreon family. You'll get early access to videos, you'll get access to me, I answer all private communications, and all that good stuff. Also, right here on YouTube, you got a thanks button and a subscribe button. You can click either one of those buttons, and you can support us right here on YouTube. And again, get access to early videos and things like that as well through that subscription. And that supports us in the age of demonetization. Please swing by, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 16 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.